So it's K Star.
It's Jew, bro. And this is this that.
We only got one mic because the other one is dead. But today we're gonna be talking about this lovely book. You can tell them what it's called.
Full agreements.
All right. So Drew, what's the first agreement?
Nah, listen.
The first agreement is be impeccable with your word, guys. So be impeccable with your word. What that means, impeccable means without blemish. That's the definition of the word impeccable. So you need to be impeccable with your word. So what that means is speak with no blemishes. So don't speak lies. Like on the surface level, just off rip, well, how you can interpret that is don't say any lies because a lie would be a blemish on the truth. Don't curse anybody because that's a blemish and that's not living a virtuous life. Don't say anything to anybody that's gonna send them any evil because that's a blemish. Also, it's very important that you are careful and intentional about what you say and what you don't say because words have energy and power, so much power. So when you speak on somebody, there's a lot of people believe like in witchcraft and stuff like that. I believe in witchcraft, but even if you don't, I'm just gonna use that as an example. So there's good magic and there's bad magic. So you can speak, you can put positive spells on somebody, not spells as in like they're in a negative trance, but you can put positive spells and you can equate that as sending positive energy to somebody through your words. So by speaking life into others, like Jewel talked about in the one video, you can speak life into other people when you are impeccable with your word because everything you say, while it may not be positive, everything you say will be truthful and everything you say will have intent behind it. On the same way, if you're not impeccable with your word and you're saying things that are negative, you're cursing people, you're sending people bad energy, that same energy that you're putting out to them is going to be returned to you in the same negative light. So that's my spin on being impeccable with your word. And I know that you have something cooked up as well.
Okay, so for the matter of fact, I'm gonna get this book. For the second agreement, I'll be talking about do not take anything personal. Now, this book, just to give you guys kind of a brief like about what it's talking about. It's kind of talking about personal growth and development and to not be so moved by others' opinions and perspectives that they have of you. So the second agreement is don't take anything personally. So this one for me, really, it wasn't really a huge one that I struggled with, but it was one like that resonated with me because like I know people that take things personal, and it's like I see that effect that it has on him, how it consumes their life sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like when you take other people's perspective so personal. So by by being so grounded in yourself that it's like I can't even take what you're saying personal because I know it's just you. It's always gonna be whatever you think. And I have no way of really changing that. So it's like it's out of my control not to take it personal. That's something that really, really motivated me into becoming a more like grounded person, just a more unapologetic person, to really be honest with you, because it's like I had to realize I have no control over you. What you think about me, what you think about this or that, I only can control myself. So why take these things, why take the way that you treat me personally? I'm saying why take other people's not taking other people's opinions in account, because like we said, that empathy, that like an empathy part, but like just not being so moved by it, just understanding it, maybe even taking something away from it. If not, then just keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? So you can talk about the next agreement.
So the next agreement is the third agreement. And that one is don't make assumptions. So, like Joel was saying, there are certain things that you do not have direct control over. You have authority over your entire life. So you have authority on who you let in. You have authority over what you do, all these things. But you don't necessarily have control in the sense that I can look at that thing or I can look at that person and literally make them say whatever I want them to make them say. Like obviously that's not something that you can do. But you have authority on what you think and what you don't think and all of those things. So with not making assumptions, it goes hand in hand on I can't control somebody else's intentions. I can't control somebody else's thoughts, their actions, their words, any of that. So since I can't control them, and since I do not 100% know what you're thinking and I don't know the intention and the purposes behind your actions and your words, because I can't control or even have any way of knowing that without asking, there's no reason to put any of your energy towards assuming what somebody else is thinking. So if somebody else does something to you that is disrespectful, it's clearly harmful, they shouldn't have done it, all these things, and you're sitting here thinking, damn, I've been nothing but a good person to them. I've been nothing but a good person in the world. Why is this happening to me? You may assume to yourself, oh, they're doing this for this reason. Or you may assume, oh, this is happening because of this. But when you make those assumptions, you don't really have any basis in those assumptions. And the clearest path and the easiest way to stop making assumptions is to just ask questions, to just communicate. If there's something that you really want to know, you ask a question about it, and not in a naive way, taking whatever you hear and whatever your answer is for face value, in the sense that you're going to allow anybody to manipulate you and you're going to allow anybody to have control over you. But to think of, if Joel does something to me, or if Joel's being extra nice to me and I feel like he's just being nice because he's finna ask me for some money or he's finna ask me for something, I can assume that he's just being nice just for some money, right? And then I'm going to be treating him with this spite, and I'm going to be treating him with this hostility based off of my assumption of him wanting to be nice to me for the money. When I have two things I could do instead. I could ask him, are you just being nice for some money? He's going to give me his answer. I can believe it or not, but at least I'll know from him, like, he's either doing it for the money or he's not. Or I can just not put any energy in towards why he's being nice to me and just allow it to be what it is. And then if it comes out, okay, he's doing it with these other intentions, you deal with it when it comes out. Or just that ability to handle your life with an open mindset will allow you to not see a possible negative outcome from somebody, or because you're not making those assumptions in the first place. Now, obviously, you need to be having these thoughts and trusting you're good if you feel like there's something going on that's wrong, but you don't need to be making assumptions as to why somebody's doing something. And if it gets to a point where you're making such strong assumptions, such heavy assumptions, you feel like they're so right, that's a sign that you just need to communicate and ask somebody a question, or a sign that you need to just remove yourself from that situation entirely because of how much energy you're expelling on it. So those are the first three agreements. Do you want to tackle the last one?
For sure, definitely. I really want to commend you for saying like the biggest way to not, well, the easiest way to not make assumptions is by asking questions, because that's like a big thing for people. Like a lot of people make assumptions on things based on their perspective, their biases, how they've grown up, things like that, and then they let their mind, like we've talked about this before, they let their mind wander off their assumptions, especially when you make assumptions out of spite and things like that. Like you said, when you're able to like go with your gut and your intuition, that's different. But like when you make assumptions about people, about things out of spite, out of just a whole different light, you're not able to properly just think. You can't even think properly. You can't even think properly. So to be making assumptions is just, you shouldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? And I really want to talk about like this book, because I remember reading this like last year. Um, just outside. I read this outside every day, and I was just thinking like, dang, like I just read a few pages of this, and then I look up and then look like watch everybody just walking, and it's like this. The cover says a practical guide to personal freedom, and I really felt like I was able to free myself of the shackles of other people's perceptions, because it's like I wasn't taking anything personal. I wasn't making assumptions about what other people thought about me. What I was saying, I was standing on that. Like, I'm saying, like the way I was speaking, the interactions that I was having with people was so like just like I gotta find that word for it. But it was just like I was so tapped in, but at the same time I was attached. I was what? Connected to all but attached to nothing. Like it was like that. Like I felt like that. I felt enlightened. I felt enlightened when reading this book.
Bro, this book, yeah, I know y'all be listening to music. If y'all know the Frank, well, you probably know the Frank Ocean album Blonde. How everybody describes that album, they say it's so good because it's a coming of age album. And if you don't know what that means, it means you can listen to it when you go through any change in your life. Like people say, you go through changes in your life every 3 to 5 years. Like you have your life is in phases of 3 to 5 years. Like the first 3 to 5 years of your life is going to be different than the next 3 to 5 years of your life or whatever. This is really a book that you can read at any of those turning points in your life. Like I first read this book at the beginning of college. The next time I read this book was during a break. I think it was during winter break last school year. So while I was a sophomore, I read it while I was getting my hair done by my mom, like 2 days before I came back to school, and then I read it at the beginning of the school year. And every time I've read it, I've found new things to annotate in the book, or I've found new things in the book that's like, damn, I didn't really catch that the first time, but I've had these different lived experiences since the last time I've read it, and now this part of the book is hitting deeper than it did last time, or this part of the book really hit me last time, but I've learned, like I've almost mastered that lesson. But this lesson right here, damn, like I really need to, in this phase of my life, I may really need to learn how to stop making assumptions. And then I know when I read this book the next time, it may be a whole different thing. So this is definitely one of those books, and it's like what? It's like 120 pages. It's a pretty quick read, but it's definitely like a substantial one. Like it's definitely one of those books where you can read it straight through and be like, okay, this was a good book. But when you really take the time to really read the book and really understand, like, okay, how can this apply to my life? That's when you'll get the most out of the book.
So the next agreement is just do your best. And you know what I'm saying? Y'all might think, all right, that's kind of cliche, whatever the case may be. Or you already know, like I already know I should be doing my best. But I just want to read a little bit of the book right here, page 77. It says, if you always do your best, there's no way you can judge yourself. And if you don't judge yourself, there's no way you're going to suffer from guilt, blame, and self-punishment. By always doing your best, you will break a big spell that you have been under, okay? So it's like during this book, you kind of learning how to like not blame yourself for other people's actions, but also not to like not blame yourself for your own actions type thing. Like it's like, all right, I can't blame you for doing what you do, but I also have to stand on my word with what I'm saying so that I can not be shameful or not feel like full of guilt when I'm not living up to the expectation that I need to be. Do your best, like do what you can. Like we always say, you can only control what you can. So just by doing your best, you putting your best foot forward, it's like there's really no way you can lose. And like I always say, like when you feel like you are losing or you're not doing your best, you're not that's the time that you need to really double down because that's where the lesson is coming in. Like every single time. And it's bro, I really want to talk about this quickly, and this is don't have nothing to do with the book, but that classic 27 thing, like everybody there was just on the same mindset, just of like not letting losses or triumphs in your life be a problem or be like a big rock because you're always gonna have that no matter what it may be. So just by always doing your best, always putting your best foot forward, like I said, there's really no way you can lose. There's no way you can blame yourself when you did all you can do. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm. It's literally as simple as that. And you'll hear when you guys are watching this video, when you go back and think about, and when you read this book, you'll also see like every agreement goes hand in hand. So with that first agreement of being impeccable with your word, and that second agreement of not taking anything personally, when you are impeccable, I learned today I had a class, human sexuality, and my professor brought a guest in, and the guest was talking about how when you know who you are, nobody else's opinion on who you are will have any effect on you. You won't even have to like consciously tell yourself ignore that because you'll just naturally do it. You know what I mean? So when you are impeccable with your word, and he also, this is what I want to say. He also talks about the way you see other people is the way you see yourself. So if I think every time somebody talks to me that they're lying, I'm probably lying to myself about certain things. Or if I think everybody has it out for me, everybody wants me to fail, I don't think success is for me. So you have to realize that the way you're looking at other people is the way you're looking at yourself. So when you become impeccable with your word and everything you say is pure, everything you say is real, everything you say, you mean it, you'll feel that when you talk, and you'll feel when other people are not impeccable with their word. So when somebody's talking to you and they tell you just a bold-faced lie, you won't even make the assumption that they're lying. You'll just know in your spirit that was a lie. Like you'll just know, and you'll only vibrate with people that are impeccable with your word. And we talk about all the time. You can only connect with what you vibrate with. So when you become somebody that truly is impeccable with their word all the time, people that aren't impeccable with their word that are around you will slowly start to disappear. You'll slowly start to be like, damn, like how am I even close to this person? Or how could I ever have a conversation with this person in the past? That's because your mindset is changing. You're vibrating on a different frequency. And it's the same thing with doing your best, and it's the same thing with not making any assumptions. They all four of these agreements go hand in hand. All four of them.
And just one last thing, real quick before we wrap this video up. Shout out to Don Miguel Ruiz, the author. You have anything to say to him?
Appreciate you for writing this book, bro. And I also want to say appreciate our friend right here, Ari. This is my best friend, y'all. She actually gave me this book. So if she didn't give me this book, I probably wouldn't have read it when I first read it.
Oh, you have something to say?
Go ahead.
All thanks to me, you know. I really love that book, y'all. I should read that. They not just talking, y'all. That's that shit right there. Ooh.
You can cuss.
That's that shit right there.
He also has the Four Agreements Companion book, The Mastery of Love, The Circle of Fire, The Voice of Knowledge, The Fifth Agreement, and some other books that are in a language that I cannot read, but I know are probably great. I'm Drew.
This K-Star.
And this is This at the Third Podcast Book Review Edition. Nigga!